Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, it's time for the week. What the hell week is it? Week 7 update for the Westside Fantasy Premier Football League. Uh, I'm going to start in the spirit of Freddie Coleman. I'm going to start giving each week names. So, for example, this is Win Ugly Weekend. Well, this past weekend it was Win Ugly Weekend. I'm going to name them after the fact so that they're more accurate, okay? Is that fair with everybody? Win Ugly Weekend because a lot of ugly wins and even uglier losses, but mostly ugly wins happen. And I'm going to start with my own particular situation. I have never been less proud of a win. I'll admit that right now. So let me break down my situation for you. Brady out on bye. My best wide receiver out on bye. My 3 top running backs out injured. I played a guy who was not expected to play in the game because he was doubtful instead of out, and that was my best option. God. And then my second string quarterback, who I hired specifically to back up Brady on week 7, out with injury. So I had to go with Tim Fargan Tebow, which turned out to be okay, but really, I was like, well. And about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, it was looking bad. But it all worked out for some reason. I got 99 points on the strength of Tebow's sent from heaven last minute heroics. But I also got 0 from Peyton Hillis, which, to be fair, he didn't play. So it was tough for him to get points. And a half a point from Ben what the hell Watson. And then bottle caps and skateboards and pieces of string and stuff like that from the rest of the guys. It adds up to 99, but listen, here's the thing. DeBiz was, before last night's Monday Night Football game, was sitting at about 38 points. Now that sounds bad, and that's because it is. But he did have 3 good players. He had Flacco. We'll discuss whether Flacco's good or not. But anyway, he had Flacco, quarterback, MJD, and Ray Rice all in one mega game. So he could have overtaken me. It's possible, if the Ravens decided that they liked the forward pass, which they're not big on typically, but it didn't work out that way. The game was 12-7, and Flacco was pathetic. I think by about the middle of the second quarter, he had like a 1 point. I'm not kidding. Meanwhile, Ray Rice and Maurice Jones-Drew just kept fumbling. It was fumble, like at one point, each of them was negative. So it didn't work out. He had 68 points, and bad examples go to 4 and 3, unimpressively, and DeBiz drops to 1 and 6. Now here's the worst part about Win Ugly Sunday. That is that my 99.6 points, which I earned with -1 player and a bunch of retread, recycled, broken down pieces parts, would have beaten half the league. Over in the in Brutta Is Memorial Coliseum, Brutta Is was taking on Rough the Passer, and Brutta Is coming in at 5-1 looked to lose because 12 points out of Hasselbeck. 41-7. That's not very good. But he did get 17 from Megatron, Big Dog Calvin, Superman Johnson, and 17 from Mike Wallace, and everybody else was just kind of garbage. 0.4 from Greg Olson. He sounds like he belongs on a 70s TV show saying, "Hey, I'm Greg Olson, lifeguard." Adds up to 84. So you figure he's going to lose that game. You'd think wrong, because Ruff the Passer coming in at 3-3 and trying to stay over 500 or get over 500 and set himself up for the RT3-peat. Came up with 74 points. A third of them from Matthew Big Staffy Staph Infection Stafford. And the rest, just like on the old Gilligan's Island one, 12 from the Dallas defense was the best number besides Matt Stafford's 24 points. 74. That ain't going to get it done, people. That's all I'm saying. That ain't going to get it done. So, Brutta Is wins and goes to 6-1. Win Ugly Weekend. What did I say? But the hits didn't stop. Didn't end there. Actually, I guess that was the ugliest win of the week. But this one wasn't so pretty either. Smack Attack won, coming into the week at 0-6, trying to get off the schneid. Jolly Rogers coming in at 3-3. The rookie sensations. Cam Newton did his part. He got 43 points. Cam Fig Newton. Jordy Admiral Nelson with 5. 14 from Fred Normal Name Davis. Ryan Terrain backing up, what's his name? You know what I'm talking about. Washington running back Hightower. Brought shame to his family with a negative .5 points. and it adds up to 94. Now the funny thing is, that wasn't a bad score on Win Ugly Weekend, but Smack Attack 1 was able to make just enough, well, actually plenty. It's 30 from Matty Dry Ryan in a win. I mean, he hasn't had a great season, but Santana Moss went out with injury, so he only had 1.7. 18 from Mason Bing Crosby, and 17 from Michael Jenkins, who I don't have a nickname for, but is still good in a losing effort. That Christian Ponder's not bad. Steven Jackson, 13. 116, he wins. Smack Attack 1 gets on the scoreboard with 1 win. Good job. And Jolly Rogers drops to 3 and 4. Okay, those were the ugliest of the wins, I'd say. So then you got some just whompings. And I think this is the whomping of the week, if I'm not mistaken. Ferocious Finnick, coming in at 1 and 5, suddenly explodes for 160 big points. 53 from Ben. I'm normally not a very good fantasy football play. Roethlisberger. 41 from Arian Foster. Now, this is why you draft Arian Foster, finally. Now, Jake took the unusual strategy of playing a guy who's on bye, Jermaine Gresham from Cincinnati. I think it's because he's a Bengals fan. And he just feels that even a Bengal on bye is better than another guy, which is crazy. But Jonathan Stewart, does a fine fake news program. He got 12.8 points. What do you want? And then Matt Anita Bryant, 13 points. 160 big points for the Finnick, even with one empty roster slot, essentially. Well, over on the other side, the Revolution, coming in at 4 and 2, had Schaub. It looked like I really thought that Tennessee-Houston game was going to be a shootout, but it was a shootout. It was really more of a shoot-at, in that the Houston team shot at the Titans and shot the crap out of them. 41-7. Schaub gets 41 points. Roddy McDowell White gets 11. Tashard Choice brings shame to his family with negative 1.2. But even that wasn't the decisive factor. James Tony Stark got 9.9. It adds up to 97. 97. So this is a whipping 62-point win for Ferocious Finnick. Goes to 2 and 5, and the Revolution drops to 4 and 3. Okay, who have I not covered? Oh, of course. Let's talk about the big boy. We're talking about Smell This. Oh, we smell it. He who smelt it dealt it, and I think Drew is dealing it. Boy, he is just dealing out the points. The mighty Aaron of Rogers, 52, 24 from Matt Pianoforte. Darren Sproles, 22. Darren Tiny Sproles. 14 from Steve Smith. Mike Tolbert with 11. Neil Rockers with 11. The Chicago defense with 14. 166 points. The consistency of Drew's scoring is uncanny. I think possibly he sold his soul to the devil, and frankly, a good fantasy football season seems like a pretty good trade for me on that one. 7-0. Smell this. 166 points. Unstoppable. Zap, Boff, Kapow. Let's see what they're looking like. So they didn't win. They got 109 points, which would have beaten most teams this week, and just had the misfortune of playing against a formidable juggernaut. However, he also took the controversial strategy of playing two guys who aren't on bye. Now here I agree with him. A Patriot on bye is better than most players even when they're playing. 24 from Cutler, 24 from Plaxico Burris. And by the way, if you're not sure if Plaxico's right for you, consult your doctor. Michael Turner with 12, 20 from the New Orleans defense, 109. I don't think Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and Deion Branch would have gotten him to 166, but it would have been a lot closer. Boy, what's up with Phillip Rivers? Sitting on Zap Boff-Kapow's bench is Phillip Rivers, who is not in a very Phillip Rivers kind of mode. So I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Smell This goes 7-0. Zap Boff-Kapow drops to 3 and 4. I think we got one more game to look at. Am I missing somebody? And that game is the Ghetto Superstar against the newly christened Shady Nasties. Is there a story there? I don't know the story. Maybe Phil can tell us the story. Formerly Jamarcus Bentley. Ghetto Superstar coming in at 5-1 has Romo, who's not that good fantasy-wise, but awesome on the actual football field, crushing the hapless St. Louis Rams. What's with those guys? 34-7, getting 28 points. 23 from AD all day. Actually, he didn't have to go all day, just during the hours when the game was happening. Jimmy Graham, 17 points with an injury. DeMarco Murray. Now, this is the pickup of the week. I mean, let's be honest. This guy ran for 170,000 yards on Sunday, and no one's ever heard of him. And by the time I was sneaking on there to get him, Ghetto Superstar already got him. Good job. Good job. John Casey, 15. Cleveland, 17. 145 points. Now, that's a good score on Win Ugly Weekend, because over on the other side, Shady Nasty had 62 from Drew Cool Breeze, 21 from Marquez Colston. And zeros. There's a lot of zeros. There's between Darren McFadden, who you normally can rely on for something good, Marshawn Lynch, and Dallas Clark. You now listen to me again. Between Darren McFadden, Marshawn Lynch, and Dallas Clark, the total points were 0.7. That's not very good. That would, and then they would have projected out to something more like 30, which would have been enough for the win, but didn't happen that way. Jason Hansen did his best with 11 points, and it's 121. Boy, that's rough. Ghetto Superstar goes to 6-1, and Shady Nasty drops to 2-5. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. I got everybody. If I missed you, sorry. Probably was because your game wasn't that interesting. All right, let's look at the standings. All right, Smell This rules the nation. This generation of Smell This rules the nation. And not only is he 7-0 and number one in the thing, but I mean, he is about 150 points ahead of everybody in terms of points. So at this stage, that means about 20 points more on average than any other team. That's tremendous. Soul selling, probably. You never know. Ghetto Superstar, however, will not go away. Lost the first game, has won 6 in a row since then. He's right on his heels. Over in Division del Sur, Brutta is a strong 6-1, followed by Bad Examples, who has, well, let's see, the fourth highest point total in the league, but is only sitting at 4-3 because of some weird distributions of those points. Now, in the cellar, you've got Smack Tech 1 and DeBiz, both in the low 700s on points. And you've got a couple unlucky guys. You got Shady Nasty and Ferocious Finnick, both with reasonably high points, but not a lot of wins. So that's kind of the way it looks right now. It's still too early. It's playoffs. We're not going to talk about playoffs, but we can start thinking about playoffs. The first rule of playoffs is don't talk about playoffs, at least when Marv Levy's around. Is it Marv Levy? I don't know. Anyway, that guy. All right, guys, that is it. Have a good weekend, or have a good week, and we'll talk next week. Bye.